Thank you for the warm welcome, Dr. Aguilar. We now move on to the first part of our session. Our speaker is an experienced managing director with a demonstrated history of working in the publishing industry. Skilled in negotiation, market research, management, marketing, and corporate finance. To talk about artificial intelligence in academic publishing and libraries, let us all welcome on stage Ms. Rosalia Da Garcia, Managing Director, Asia Pacific and Central Asia SAGE.
Typically, I don't need a microphone because I'm as loud as can be. But can you hear me behind, or do you need me to stand in front of the microphone? You can hear right behind? Wonderful. So thank you so much for having me here today. Can I hear? Okay, so thank you so much for having me here. And I don't like to stand alone because you know what? I'm one of those very hyperactive person. People like to watch drama serial and I like to watch documentary or Flight Away. So you can imagine if I stay in Manila, where do you think I'll be staying? At the airport hotel, which is nearby. I can see the aircraft, Cebu Pacific every day. So Ateneo de Manila has a special place in my heart because it was when I joined SAGE at 2006. It was one of the first customers that we visited that subscribed to our SAGE journals. And since then, Ateneo de Manila has really captured my heart, my attention of everything that I do. And I always remember the first experience when I came in the building and I almost fell down to the library as well because I was wearing 5.5 inches high heels. So you can imagine like this. So I'm going to try to get my slides up. And once it is up, and then we should be able to do that. So apologies for being late because we are caught in the traffic. From the airport to here, the traffic has been nothing but short of, lots of cars, okay? Do I have the clip or you can pick from here? Okay. So I think the esteemed gentleman was talking about AI. Artificial intelligence is not to be feared. The light is strong. It's not to be feared. It is to be embraced. And I think I like the fact that you were talking about a human. So what people are saying these days is that AI and EQ has to work together. There are certain things AI can do, there are certain things AI cannot do, and what we need to do is to embrace it and look at it as an opportunity for us to remove what we call mundane or administrative work to allow AI to take over that functionality for us, but allow our critical thinking to come into play to direct the AI to do what we want to do. So today's session is really about what are the products we as a publisher have sort of used AI, and then we'll talk about what are the other libraries doing to empower students and faculty using artificial intelligence, and then I'll share with you what other publishers are doing in terms of artificial intelligence that we know of, especially in the areas of textbooks. Right? So now let's start with this. So SAGE Research Methods is a tool for doing research. It is a must-have for anybody in behavioral and social sciences, and this together with another product called SAGE Campus is the one that gives you all the necessary methodology you need to do your research, whether you're doing qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method, it gives you that. But what happened is we actually use what we call AI tools to synthesize the content. So based on what you are searching for, it starts recommending the alternative methodology or methods that are similar that you should actually employ when you're doing your research or writing a journal article itself. So here we show you an example of broader terms, narrow terms, as well as what we call related terms itself. Never ever once has journal articles being tagged with the methodology, and first time in Sage Research Methods we found that that has been happening in itself. So this one in Australia, New Zealand, 100% of the university has Sage Research Methods. That tells you that how important it is. So if anybody is really serious about producing an award-winning journal article, Sage Research Methods and Sage Campus will be the minimal tool you require in order to become successful. So let's go now to the next slide where we use. So this is Eddie Matthew, is a sister company of Sage. We actually digitized all his history or historical documents, and as you can imagine, some of these documents kept at the British Library or the New York Metropolitan Library has been really old, and as you can see here, these are the original documents. But how do you make that relevant in today's world is the use of HTR, handwritten text recognition, and that is one of the very first publishers that we're actually doing this, and that is actually telling you, if you want to know about what we call foreign files India, foreign files China, foreign files Southeast Asia, these are what we have used to ensure that we bring something that is in paper to something that can be searchable and discoverable in a in modern context. Yeah. Okay, so this is another one. So before I start this, last year I was studying at MIT. I was taking an online course called Applying Business Analytics itself. And if you are at my age, you will learn statistics using SPSS. And then we had to do predicting HR turnover in the 4 major tech companies. And all I had was R programming, and I had Python programming, and I'm like, what am I going to do? How do I get things done? And then I was scratching my head. And lo and behold, my classmates were 2 professors from Nazarbayev University in Kazakhstan. And they said, Rosalia, don't worry, we can do it. And that was the first week of June last year. And then we'll meet the following Saturday. And then I said, why am I so silly? I've got Sage Research Methods and Sage Campus. So I went to Sage Campus to learn how to do R programming and Python. And I found that Python was easier for me. And using Python programming, I did data visualization. And then using Sage Campus, I learned how to do critical thinking of the data that I collected from all these 4 tech companies itself. And I start from beginning, and then I went to intermediate, and then I went to advanced, and then I went to Sage Research Methods and find the methodology, which is surveys, interviews that I need to do. And so these actually, in a lot of sense, also uses AI, but we also introduce to you what we call courses that are relevant to today's age. So within Sage Campus, you have an Introduction to Artificial Intelligence course that talks about the importance of artificial intelligence in the higher education area. But we also have the art of ChatGPT. Now many people are using ChatGPT to do their research paper, and this is one area in which we have a course that tells you what you can use and how you have to avoid all the pitfalls in using ChatGPT as we know today. Mutiara? So this is our promise. So our journals, which Ateneo has at the moment, is we partner with this company, Alchemist, and what we do is to make sure that we do not inundate you with unnecessary email campaigns. We make sure that we understand the workflow of the experiences of the people. What are you searching for? What are you looking for? And how much have you engaged with the content? Then we send you the relevant content. And then of course you can opt out for what we have. And this is really the use of AI, what we call personalization. Very personalized marketing campaigns that come to you based on what you have been engaging with us on our platforms. So these are some of the tools that we have used. We have embraced artificial intelligence, but we do recognize that artificial intelligence has caused one product with the publishing industry to actually almost collapse, and that is the textbooks. The textbooks, as we know, in many years does not exist as it is now. So that is some of the challenges that publishers face. Publishers like Pearson, Cengage, Wiley Blackwell, McGraw-Hill does face quite a fair bit of challenges, especially in the Australian New Zealand market. See? I'm a little bit crazy, so don't worry. So I'm currently studying, so okay, you can imagine I go back to school every now and then. I'm currently studying Stanford, and it's called a Stanford Lead Program. It is almost a year program consisting of 9 modules. And because we are studying remotely, I have to have a virtual reality in order to go into my classroom. And I use the VR, and through the VR, I engage with the professor, I engage with with my fellow students, and everyone knows that if Rosalia is disagree with the professor or with the fellow students, I will turn my avatar color, eyes to green. That means everyone will say, okay, what's wrong with Rosalia? She's not happy or she disagree. But this is what we learn. Nowadays, we are having avatar to represent us in a classroom setting. And so, similarly, we have what we call body swaps. Body swaps, primarily in this area, is about the areas of counseling, psychotherapy, about medicine, but we also have something about leadership. How do you make sure that as a leader, you are able to understand what are the things you are doing and how you face a robot who is telling you yes or no when it comes to the way you are leading things itself. Yeah? Okay? So let's start with how our publishers are reimagining in the way that we are performing. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so what is happening here is that the term predictive analysis is becoming very, very popular. Anybody that's doing finance, HR, anyone that's doing research will know that you need to have predictive analytics tools in order to enable you to become successful, because what you need is the ability for you to actually be able to understand what you be doing, because you don't have time. There are a lot of us are very busy, but we don't have time to be able to do the kind of lengthy work that we want to do or we wish to do, but let machine learning do the job for you. You don't have to spend those time itself. So what is happening is that there are tools called, for example, Jasper AI, which is an AI tool that does fairly decent translations of content. So if you publish a book in English and you want to sell it to somebody in, say, an Arabic language, you can use Jasper AI, and Jasper AI will be able to translate for you. A lot of publishers use Jasper AI to do translation of the marketing materials itself. And this you see the evolution, that gone were the days we ask somebody actually to design and do the translation for us. But it's also very important is that, as they say, garbage in, garbage out. So whatever you feed into the database and whatever you feed into your AI, it will spit out to you the results of what you're doing. So one of the pitfalls of ChatGPT has been that the content or the works that it's taking it from is unknown to the user. We are not sure whether that is actually been peer reviewed. We are not sure whether it is something that has been tested by somebody. So in mainland China, what the government is doing now, the government is trying to ask publishers, can you sell me your journal content so that I can develop an AI, and the AI will do the similar thing like ChatGPT, but you are assured that whatever you're getting out from ChatGPT, it is actually from a publisher's content that has been peer reviewed. That is actually a very smart way of doing things, because ChatGPT does have its advantage. I mean, for example, if I want to go and find things, I'm no longer using Wikipedia or even Google. I just ask ChatGPT, what's the nearest restaurant I can go to? And ChatGPT will give me the directions. Of course, sometimes it doesn't give me the areas that I'm looking for or the information, but it does a fairly good job that we can rely on it to do so. So AI is really at the heart of what we do. Gone were the days when the metadata is all being done in the library, very, very technically, very, very manually, but now the use of AI has made that much easier. Okay, so it is this This is one of the things I highly recommend all of you to start doing itself. There are other tools that is there. How do you use, if you want to use ChatGPT to do your research, make sure that you actually have done the research. So in a recent case, Frontier, the publisher from Switzerland, published an article about the reproductive organs of a rat. And like everybody else, the authors acknowledged that they used ChatGPT to write the abstract, but they did not acknowledge that they used ChatGPT to write the entire research paper. And what they didn't acknowledge to the publisher is that they have not done any research. They just asked ChatGPT to actually produce the outcome that they want. And what happened is that it was accepted for publication and it went online. And when we went online, there were a lot of people who realized that the illustration showing the reproductive organs of a rat was wrong. And they also started to realize that actually some of the language and the what we call the terminology being used was actually not accurate, only to find out that the professors or the authors of their research paper did not do any research but just asked ChatGPT to do it for them. So you want to avoid the pitfalls of AI in that sense. AI has a lot of benefits, but you also must be careful what you're getting. You want to be known for doing good things. You want your reputation to be based on the good research you are doing and embracing AI. But what you do not want is to be blacklisted as someone who has not done any research but trying to get a job done or get a promotion very easily through the use of ChatGPT. How many of you have come across papers written by your students that is actually ChatGPT generated? Right? Can I have a show? Exactly. So even at Stanford, so 4 of my classmates had submitted a ChatGPT answer, and the professor picked it up because no matter what, the answer were almost similar. And then what was very striking in the paper that they submitted on organizational communication was there was a journal being cited, and then only to find that that journal didn't even exist. It was a fake journal that exists. And so the professors call the students and say, have you used ChatGPT? Oh no, we never use ChatGPT, we write our own. And then they say, okay, now why don't you tell me what you have written? None of them could actually produce what they have written because they didn't do it. So once they acknowledged that, Stanford did one last test to give them a chance and say, you do the right thing now, and if you get through, you will advance to the next course. So out of the 4 students, 1 failed and 3 went through. So ChatGPT is a way of helping us, but it shouldn't replace learning. So the question I have for all of you is, do you want the easy way to get a promotion, or do you want to learn as a result of using ChatGPT? So I use ChatGPT quite a fair bit, and if I were to sit down there and not open my mouth, ChatGPT, sounding exactly like me, will be giving you this presentation, and God knows what they might be saying, and you might be following what they are saying. But this is how scary ChatGPT can become. But if you manage it and mitigate that, you are able to actually be very effective in using it to enhance your capabilities and enhance yourself, and allowing you to focus on critical tasks or tasks that requires a lot of EQ rather than tasks that is very manual. Yeah. So here is very strange itself. So publishers, we are using AI now. So we save costs. Right, there are some copy editors that is there. We have to pay a lot of money. Now we are asking AI to do copy editing for the journal articles or business cases that we do. AI is helping us. So there are a lot of AI tools that is out there that is helping us to make sure that things come better in the way that we do. Okay, so this was a question that we posed to ChatGPT. What will people do when robots can do everything? Even a ChatGPT itself has acknowledged that it can't perform the task of a human being. If it can perform the task of a human being, then we should be worried about existence, isn't it? But here it is telling you that there are ethical issues. And talking about ethical issues, have anyone heard about a dating site of creating AI robot as your partner? Would you want to date an AI robot? Would you? No, right? But in Japan, it has been taken a little bit too far. I can go on this particular sort of site or this particular area itself, and I can create what I like my partner to become, and then an avatar is created or a robot is created that will talk to me in the manner that I like this robot to talk to me. That is gone too far, because we human beings have feelings, and how that actually makes, and it's typically used by middle-aged men in Japan, but that, well, tickles their fancy. I think it's very important itself, right? So, but it was very interesting to see, if you look at the second paragraph, the last statement, it's quite interesting for ChatGPT itself to say, it is important for society to carefully consider how to integrate new technologies that in a way that is beneficial to all stakeholders. ChatGPT is actually telling you that, be careful of what you do. Do not let it run your life, and do not let it be able to do things. Robots are good, and many restaurants, I don't know whether you have here, you can have robots serving you food. You just order from the menu, and then through the QR code, and then you get the robot come in and give you your food. That is fine, but other than that, I think we have to be quite careful what we do. So the Science Technology Medicine, so the STM Association, have actually launched a white paper looking at the ethics, because one of the major issues publishers are facing is called research integrity. Among authors and among academics that are sending, there are a lot of misconduct has been happening and is on the rise. What is scary is that people are actually not doing the research, but are actually claiming that they have done. I'm sure you have heard of the Chinese professor who claimed he has cloned a human being. And he has gone on for some time publishing several papers, talking at major conferences, claiming his success in cloning a human being, when actually that is not the truth, right? So we have to be quite careful, because generative AI in itself is supposed again to assist, but we cannot use that to advantage and do something that is illegal or do something that is not appropriate itself. So this association is looking about what laws are there. So the United States of America, under the Biden administration, is now trying to get laws to actually ensure that there is ethical use of ChatGPT in all higher education and all facts of human behavior and life. So that is something that we need to do with that itself. And then the interview that I just talked to you about, that is actually done by the National Information Standard Organization. So as I said already in the beginning, AI can actually help in some areas. So have you heard of DORA? D-O-R-A in caps. So DORA is a declaration of research assessment is an organization set up in San Francisco, and a lot of publishers talk about it. And what we are facing now is that we're talking about research integrity, but we're also facing what we call cognitive biasness on the part of peer reviewers and editors-in-chief, that we are somehow biased when we think about the way we are looking at people's ideas, or people, where they come from, or what are they submitting their papers from. So with that, what they are saying is that humans should interact with AI tool in order to remove any form of biasness when you are looking at a paper. So I'm not sure whether this is something that is happening in the Philippines, but in my organization, if someone applies for the job, we are not supposed to get their gender, their age, their nationality, or their religion, or their marital status. All of these are blanked out. We must never know, the hiring manager must never know what that person is about, because From there, we are able to make a judgment call of who we hire based on the skill sets rather than who we think we want to hire because we like this person, or as the Chinese will say, the feng shui, matches the stars and the moon will match, right? So those are the kinds of things that is very important itself, yeah? So article citation, so this is an AI tool. So this is an AI tool. If you want to cite articles itself, this is a good way of doing it. It's Sky.ai. So these, how does it work? It's a deep learning platform that analyzes articles citation. It shows you how many people have cited articles, where are they coming from. It gives you an in-depth analysis of whether that citation is valid. So publishers are using this to find self-citation. It goes all the way to checking whether the IP range of your computer is similar or close by if you are actually citing the articles itself. And that's how we can identify self-citation, if you like. So these actually make sure that if you are wondering how come publishers are able to find out whether this research has been done, we use Cite AI to be able to see and make sure that things like this are not happening on the grand scale, right? So we have syntax and syntactic analysis to be done. So these are very complex analysis that uses stats in order to be able to analyze every single dot. We don't have the capacity as human beings to cover everything, but AI is able to do that, and in shorter span of time, and that's what we rely on it, yeah? But there is still worry among what we call professors. They're thinking, what is AI? So I think as some of you are professors or students, AI here is not to replace your job, it's to enhance your job, and it's to act as an enabler, but not as a hindrance to you doing your job. And you have to realize that the younger generation, the Gen Z, are much more visually clued. They like the use of technology, and you have to incorporate that into your classroom settings, yeah? So let's start with the university. So this is the Tianjin National Public University, Public Library in China. So it's very, kind of state-of-the-art futuristic library that they have. So let's start at looking at what other universities are doing. Okay, so here we have a couple of universities. They've set up innovation hubs. And as you can see here, you have MIT Innovation Initiative, Communication University of China, where they actually have a VR center in one of the campuses, where they actually are able to visually how the comprehension and the communication need to be delivered and articulated to a particular set of audience. So if I'm at CUC, they will tell me, based on the profile, you feed in the profile who is coming in, the AI will tell you, this is what you should deliver to them, right? So these are some of the things that they are doing. Tsinghua University in China also, the business school is embracing the use of AI to get students ready for the next generation of tools that's coming up when they go out in the business world. And then nearer to us is Chulalongkorn in Thailand. So they are also sort of working on developing AI tools. They are a little bit far away, but they all have innovation tools, hubs that they are developing to enhance the students' experience and the faculty experience that we are looking at itself, right? So what are they doing? The world has a shortage of coders. So if you are looking for a job as a coder, that is what you will get the highest salary for at the moment itself. So we are looking for coders as well, but we use robots and everything in terms of coding language in order to get to the crux of what we are trying to do in terms of the innovation that we want to create in terms of science and technology and social science as well. So again, China has taken steps. So under Xi Jinping, the Chinese government, he has mandated that by 2030, that China will be the leading AI provider in the world itself. 2030 is coming quite close. I'm not quite sure whether they'll reach it, but they are very aggressive. So they have an AI campus that is there. So a virtual reality class is being held in there. People come in and use all sorts of technology, VRs and tools in order to engage in a classroom setting. And then the Ministry of Education, what they have done is, in order to tap the expertise across what we call the Greater China region. They have had a partnership with 9 universities around Guangdong province in the south of China, Hong Kong and Macau, to just make sure that there's cross-collaboration in research. And let me give you one example, is that Harbin Institute of Technology in Guangdong province is actually now working with Hong Kong University to develop a robot that is able to do very, very sophisticated operations in a medical field, where you need to have really precision, and you cannot have the shaking hands of a surgeon. You need to have very precision for a robot. They're developing something like that, and that is the state of the art. They're also developing something in the areas of, aviation that is really fantastic in terms of they're doing, but that has not gone far. But at least a robot to be able to actually do operations, I think that is something that should be really admired about. Yeah. So, Ivy Tech College, Community College and Georgia State College. So the reason why I put Sage Skills in there, we have a product called Sage Skills Business. Sage Skills Business is a result of the Fortune 500 companies coming to us and say, we have all the honors degrees business students coming. But unfortunately, when they come into the workforce, they're not able to practice whatever they learn in the classroom. They need to be rethought. So Sage Skills is basically empowering the students to be able to go and become successful in a classroom setting. So the term will be from a classroom to a boardroom. It goes as to say what color you should be wearing when you're doing interview, what kind of jobs, how do I negotiate salary, how do I create network, what's the importance of data analytics? If I'm setting up my own business, what I need to look for. So it's setting the students up for success. And the reason why I brought it up, because as you can see here, Ivy Tech Community College, which is basically where we see 98% of the students were failing or getting a grade C in their exams in a business school. 98%, that is quite high. And then what they found is that when they use Sage Skills, which actually uses again AI. So like when you go and buy Shopee or you go online, based on your preferences, it customizes you the kind of product. Similarly here, if you say I want to become an entrepreneur, it will customize, it will read based on your interaction on the platform and tell you these are the things you need to learn, these are the things you need to become or need to implement in order to become successful. It actually guides you. So there are AI involved in it that is of importance itself. But once they had this, what they begin to realize that because Sage Skills is so easy to use, they found that the grades have actually dropped. And last year, the grades have improved rather, and the failure rates have dropped. And what they are seeing that for the grades were so good that it was one of the best that they've ever encountered for the last 50 years itself, and that put Ivy Tech Community College up in the rank because they had a product that enables the students to think through games, through the use of AI technology itself. Gamification is a very important tool for the Gen Z, and that's how they found that this is important. And Sage Skills have a lot of games in it to actually enhance your skills and make you better in terms of applying all those business terminologies. Yeah. So immersive learning. So we have here, this is exactly the case in National University of Singapore. So if you go into the innovation hub of National University of Singapore, if you are studying environmental science, you don't need to go and the Great Barrier Reef and check. You can actually go in here and actually do your study. So that is what the state of art has become, that we are actually studying in our own homes, we are studying in our own country, but we are able to go to another place through virtual reality, to the use of what we call immersive learning, that allows us to be able to do things like this. So here you have this particular island that they are working on about sea life. How do you preserve the sea life? What is causing the sea life to die? And what is happening with the turtles that is in there itself? Yeah. So the student goes in there Literally, I've been inside there. You don't need a VR set. You just go in there and then you start using your computer and start key in the parameters of the criteria that you want, and then it will start giving you the outcome that you're looking for so that you can study. So for as group studies, it enhances the students' experience of using what we call immersive learning that we had. And again, at Stanford University, we use a lot of immersive learning. I talked about predictive analysis earlier on. So when I did financial accounting in Stanford Lee. Now previously you have tons and tons of spreadsheets that you do, but now what we have is that we have an AI tool that does predictive analysis. How much do I price my product in order to get my return on investment and ensure that my PE ratio, which is where the shareholders or my stock price comes to a certain range. So by using a set of parameters with certain changes by the quantities you're producing and the pricing, you are able to get a desirable profit level that you think you can get. It comes close. Just like you put garbage in, garbage out, if you put all the right parameters, you will get as close as you can to a real life situation. That's the beauty of this immersive learning in a sense, because what is allowing you is to prevent you from making mistakes in the real world through the use of AI. And we should never underestimate how important it is when people are very casually thinking, oh, price increases is always the way to get or deem. Like one of the things that came out from our class was, if you price it high, people will value it as a commodity or a product that is of a certain status itself. You price it low, which is what is a typical textbook, right? Price it low, you gain market share. But that wasn't not true when we find what parameters you have, because you have competitive information, you have what is happening in the real world, the economic environment that is happening out there. And I think that's how immersive learning enrich us so that we become successful when we go out. I'm giving you cases of business, but obviously there are many cases in terms of social work that you can do. And within the social work context itself, we didn't have social work, but within the context itself, what we had was, we called an AI tool called Merchant. Merchant allow you to practice what do you say to your patient. What do you do, or when you're giving feedback to your staff, what do you do, how the things you're going to say, and the robot will respond to you. And if you say something that is wrong, the robot will shake his head, will goes like this, and then it will shut down. And so this is a little joke that I had. So I was practicing with a robot, and then my partner was in my house. And then he said, oh, who's that lady that you're talking? The voice is so sweet and very calm and very collected. And I said, so sorry, that is not a human being, that's a robot that I'm talking to. And then the next time I actually talking to my professor, then he said to me, oh, can you tell me whether that's a robot or a human being you are talking to? This is how it became, and he works for Google, and he's much, much younger than me. So you can see that how we are looking and talking to robots. And was it awkward? No. It wasn't awkward, it was just part and parcel of what I'm used to already, talking to robots and getting the answer. But of course, I'm not going to have a partner who's a robot. I think that's quite scary. But at least in my workplace, I find that I'm able to engage and practice my skills so that when I actually do it, giving either counseling or even telling to my staff or giving feedback, negative feedback, I'm able to be much more clued in and much more skillful in doing those things. Yeah? Okay? So Harvard Business University itself. So this is the use of campus. So the professor in an introduction to computer science was teaching, and then what he found again, that the students were really struggling. What is data visualization? How to see numbers in data? How to handle messy data? How to do critical thinking? All of that the students were struggling in the beginning. And again, they subscribed to Sage Campus, and what they found was that Sage Campus again enables that. Because Sage Campus is it's got 34 courses and is broken up into 4 main areas: data analytics, research skills, data science skills, and then how to write or publish a journal article. That is what is in there. But the use of AI via Sage Campus allows the student to be able to do. So for example, like myself at MIT, I don't have to go and browse the entire course to say what is required. I tell the AI within Sage Campus and say, I'm doing this, what do you recommend I take? And then it comes up introduction with R programming, Python programming, data visualization, and critical thinking. And from there, I'm able to do it. And then so it actually answers your question based on what you inputted. So I think that's where, again, it allows the students to learn. And what was very useful is we all do not learn at the same pace. Some of us are faster, some of us are slow. You can go back and practice Sage Campus at your own leisure time, because it's unlimited access, 24 hours available. And Harvard University found that it actually enhances and enriches what we call the term social learning. Students start learning socially among themselves and able to find the beauty of actually using that. So here itself, through Sage Campus, we taught them the art of using ChatGPT in research, because they were using ChatGPT very loosely for everything. So we tell them what are the ethical, legal issues in the use of ChatGPT, and then we are able to get through very nicely and making sure that the future generation uses the AI tools with integrity very much in the center of what they think. So here again, so what we find again, so Berkeley has what we call interdisciplinary hubs. So cross-discipline hubs have been set up. So you have a student in social work talking to a student in engineering. And why do you think they are talking to each other? Why would an engineering student talk to a social science student? Anyone? Or is it just... Now I'm half deaf, so if you want to speak, you have to speak loud. Don't be shy, I'm even more shy. Come, show me the Filipino spirit. You got 2 gold medals at the Olympics already, right? So show me the spirit, come on. Did you think that those 2 gentlemen went there that they might get a gold medal? Although Carlos said that he always wanted to have a gold medal, but they went with confidence and with determination. So confidence, where's the Filipino spirit? That is always very zest, full of life. Very shy. No, don't be shy. I won't, there's no right or wrong answer, just think, why is it important? Because you need the engineering student to teach you the tools, the AI tools that you might be able to do in your areas of social work. Again, AI plus EQ. The social work will give the engineering student an insight into EQ. And then the engineering student will give to the social work student a sense of AI. And that's why always remember AI and EQ. If you leave this hall and you've forgotten everything I said, remember just EQ plus AI will be the answer that we look for. So what we talk about here is that there are 2 things here, data for health, and then you have also neuroscience that is talking about that they have what we call the D-Lab, the data lab that they have done, and this is actually sponsored by Sage with Berkeley. We work very closely itself. So they have a social justice toolkit, right? So this toolkit actually measures discrimination. Now, how many of you who have submitted a journal article and you feel that the peer reviewer had come back to you and sound very disrespectful? None? Wow, very good. You know, but there are a certain level of discrimination. So let me just give you an example. An Iranian student studying in Malaysia, so he was, you have these arrangements which you are aware of, where the students can opt to go to another country to study for 1 year. So he was in University of Malaya in Malaysia, and he submitted his research to a journal using his Iranian email address. Without much thinking, it was rejected. But he was very determined. He felt that he had a good research that's being done. And what he did was he merely changed his email address to the Malaysian University, and after 6 months it was accepted and published. Right? So what we're trying to do is to de-bias what we call racism. Right? So I'm not sure whether it's evidence here. So in Brazil, my skin color, we are called slaves. Because many years ago, the slaves from Mozambique and Angola came to Brazil when the Portuguese was actually the kings and the queens. And so anybody that is dark is considered from the slave generation and is really looked down upon itself. And then in the paler skin, it is all wonderful and great. But this racism may have existed 10 years ago, but it will not be tolerated. And that's what they're trying to do. Do we give health care to people who we think are marginalized, the African Americans, the Latinos? Are we doing that? So that's what they're trying to do itself, and make sure that we do not have any research that is biased towards one particular race or one particular gender or whatever that is there itself. So they have the LLM, there's working group, and again they have they have their own version of a ChatGPT, but this time around, again like China, they use peer review content within Harvard itself to create what we call a searchable function, a discoverable function of resources. Okay, Wharton. So they have this Wharton, which is the University of Pennsylvania, one of the top business schools again. So you can see they are really investing in AI research and training, and here is what will apply to you. Ateneo is one of the very forward-thinking universities, and this must be really fantastic for you. What they did was they actually purchased ChatGPT licenses for all full-time executive MBA students to make sure that they play around with AI, not to use it to submit their research paper, but to play around and give ideas of how it can be used to enhance our life without actually changing anything. So the objective here is that we need to be ready for an AI world. We need to be ready for the time where we are able to appreciate that robots and us will coexist. Right? So they have two new funds. One is the AI Research Fund for the researchers. The other one is the AI Education Fund that is actually being created to ensure that we use AI in every modern business thinking and processes, and even modeling of scenarios when we actually do our work itself. Is even to the point, what kind of leaders should you appoint? What kind of leaders are we looking at? So things like this are being done. So you can see through the use of AI, we are actually able to do adaptation, augmentation, and come up with the best result that we possibly can through the use of artificial intelligence. So this is Xiao Tu. So Xiao Tu can be seen in the library of Tsinghua University walking around in there. So that is Xiao Tu, and that's an example. Now students are very mischievous. So when Xiao Tu was first walking around in the thing, vulgarities were being spit out by Xiao Tu because the students are teaching Xiao Tu vulgarities, right? So the librarian has to say, oh my God, this is terrible, I'll change it all over again. But you can see it asks, questions like this, right? Do you know Sin? She is my sister. So it's another robot that is there. So this robot performs the function of what we call the front desk librarians. Where do I find a book? Where is my classroom? What do I do with it? This robot is answering. So many of us, now today I'm putting this, so otherwise you will see that my mobile phone in my hand all the time. The students always, where is my classroom, will come 5 minutes before the class. They will be looking where is the classroom. But if they have an app or they have a robot, they are able to go to it rather than panicking and looking for a human being to help them to do things like this, right? So that's very important itself, yeah? So, but again, Stanford, where I study itself, the amount of AI that I use in my class for every subject that I learn is very, very intense. We've got a lot of whether it's leadership, whether it is a strategic management, whether it is a designing organization for creativity and innovation. Whatever that is there, we use AI tools, and there are many AI tools that is there, and we use it as an experiment of how we have to start interacting and working, and how we can use it to enhance our systems itself. So one of the things that I'm recommending for Sage to do is, I talked to you about immersions, where we can let our leaders practice the art of giving negative feedback to a robot. But the other thing we are doing is something in finance called Data Rails. Data Rails or Truilin allows you to actually do financial planning very easy through the use of apps itself. Now, if you are an investor, there are a lot of AI apps that actually allows you to do predictive analysis of the stock market that you're looking. You always have to use the human brain and your gut feeling. Do not rely on the AI 100%. Yeah. So Stanford has a lot of these. Researchers loved it. And then University of Rhode Island has Hamlet, which is again how machine learning enhanced these. Produced by the students uses a lot of machine learning, and then they're trying to compare that with the traditional way of doing. None of us have the luxury of time these days, and we need AI to actually shorten the time we need to do our research itself. Macquarie in Australia they're running out of space. And where do we keep all the library books, the library content itself? They use an AI developed system where they have almost like a state-of-the-art warehouse within the library itself, that actually the student can say, oh my god, I'm looking for this book. The AI will register that into a computer that is within the warehouse, and the computer would locate where the book is in a 10-story warehouse and pick the book up and then deliver to exactly where the student is standing, right? So these are the things that people are using itself, and then I talked about Xinhua already. Yeah. So generative AI is, again, I think I mentioned that quite often, is how do you balance the benefits against the risk? And that is what we call about what we see here itself is you have to start sharing knowledge and open collaboration. So the success of many Asian universities is actually collaborative. So National University of Singapore collaborates with Stanford. And they are learning from each other, and they're learning how the use of AI itself. And then, so Ateneo should be one of them, looking at partnering with one of those forward-thinking AI universities that we have. Promote innovation, and innovation is about, you need to stop thinking, how do I experiment? How do I encourage my students to use ChatGPT, and how do I check that? Need not fear about it. Only when you address that, you are able to come up with policies that support the right decisions that you have. Again, for customer, what the customer needs, apply ethics, copyright, and then make sure that the data is there. So data, recently, I don't know whether you know, Microsoft had a CrowdStrike, and all of us lost, not lost, but we were chucked out of Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft accessories and CRM. That shows that no matter how advanced you are, technology does have its downfall in itself. And that is one of the things is that, so we were very worried that our data will be lost, but many a times you see the airlines, the hotels, the governments losing employees' data to hacking. Hacking is still very, very effective, and what do they use? AI. That's how they use. They find a way of coding and making sure they bypass the system, and the AI identify where is the weakness in the setup that the organization has. So AI has its good things, but it's also has bad things as well, as they say. Yeah. So again, practical implementation. So I'm not going to go through this, but this is to give the library a sense of what actually is required. You don't need a human being to do cataloging anymore. Metadata creation, you can get an AI to do it. The query, I talk about Xiaotu, where Xiaotu is able to give you the answer, you don't need a librarian. Doesn't mean I'm not promoting that the libraries start shutting down. What I'm saying is that the librarians can now focus their attention very much on what we call critical work or strategic work that the AI can't do for you, right? Okay, information literacy and education programs. So one of the other things that one of the universities, Georgia Tech University has done is, I talk about it, they develop an app. And in the app, new students coming in will know where are the activities are held. What are the fairs that the students need to go? What kind of clubs can they join? What can they do? Is all in the app that the students can look. And then it also tells you about what the classroom, where you need to go, and the direction in which you need to go, and is linked with Google Maps, so that you don't get lost and say you have a huge campus, you know where you are exactly going to Google Maps. All you have to do is, where's my classroom? You click on it, and then it will show you where exactly you need to walk from the direction you have. And this shows the good use of AI that you have. But again, content creation, you can do marketing tools. You can create marketing tools through AI. And I talk about Jasper for translation. But again, here we talk about curation that is important. But always remember, you have to be quite careful. You need to check, right? Personalization service is very important. As publishers, we recognize that. How many of you do not like to be bombarded with emails that is actually not related to what you are looking for, right? If you go Amazon, do you realize after a while, things that others who have bought this actually like? This is what we are doing, the same thing as well here, yep. A research assistant, so this is good. You don't have to have an RA to able to help you to do your research. You can get an AI bot to actually help you in doing your research itself, and then you do the critical work. But one of the issues that we find that the faculty is resisting, because in real life, the research assistant does everything from start to finish, and all the professor do is to add their name in it. That I would really not recommend. So, and why I do not recommend that is, so a case in point, one of our journals called International Journal of Medical Research has a lot of papers. It's a gold open access journal, and it's a lot of papers from Taiwan and mainland China. And there was this very, very well-known cardiologist in Taiwan, and he says to the Minister of Health, do you want to put your name to my research paper? You know, you can get a lot of, kudos to it, right? And he said, of course, he didn't do anything. Neither did this, the assistant advise anything. So there was this professor doing his research, and he was extremely confident that it will be very well cited. So he started citing, you saw within a few, or rather not cited, also get accepted. So out of his 10 articles, all 10 were accepted. And because he published in a very niche area, as publishers we go back and say, can you recommend a peer reviewer? Of course he got so many names to recommend. And then the citation increased tremendously. And then using Cite.ai, we first recognized that there was self-citation. Then we're thinking, how come self-citation? Because they're all very different people. And then through other AI tools that we have within Sage, we found that actually some of it was from his same laptop, some of it was laptop nearby to him, only to find out that it was only one person doing it, he himself. He created multiple accounts to show that he has various people. And today what happened, the Minister of Health had to resign from his job out of embarrassment, and this professor has been blacklisted in all publishers. So you want to avoid things like this, right? So just make sure you are clever enough to use AI for the right purposes. Okay, language translation, I talk about Jasper, so you're going to have that. Accessibility enhancement is very, very important. Is how do we find alternative text? Now you go Google, you say, I want to find a image similar like this, it finds. Or if you take nowadays from your phone, you take a picture and it says, find me, right? Find me this picture, and then Google will actually show you where to find this. Right? This is similar. We have tools within Sage Journals that allows you the capability to do that. But we also take, when we call it accessibility, we also start talking about people who are neurodiverse. people who do not have the ability like us to be able to see or hear as well, how do we take into account them, because they are very much an integral part of our society? How do we make sure that they're not disadvantaged? So the use of audio for people who cannot see, and the use of braille for people who are actually unable to sort of read or see itself and or hear itself. So we are creating things like that through the use of AI that's making our lives so much easier, because otherwise the machines that we have to use in the good old days is very, very, very tedious and clunky, as they call it. Yeah. Workshops, trainings, every library is talking, and here is one example that we have done, and we have many, many examples around the world that we can share with you. Collection, development, and analysis. So I'm here not to scare the librarians that their jobs are being gone, but it's because, but these are the things is you can start, instead of waiting for the usage report from the publishers, you can actually use your own to counter. Why do you see, I mean for now, for us, we use the standard, the gold standard, which is counter compliant. But there are cases where the publishers, especially the smaller ones, have actually counted the usage to their favor. They increase the usage so they can ask you to pay higher. But you can use your own, and then you can also say to yourself, do I cancel this database? Through predictive analysis, you can see how many people are going to use, when are they going to use, things like that, right? And then operational efficiency, we talked about the same thing, how efficient it can be and how good it will be. Yeah. Okay, go back to the last slide itself. Why do you think I put the 2 asterisks in all the 10 points I had? Anyone has a guess? The answer was generated to me by ChatGPT. I had to do editing, but it was given to me by ChatGPT, and it was correct. Right? There were certainly 15 points. I've deleted the remaining one, but you can see I helped myself by actually getting all of this from ChatGPT. So it is good for some things. Yeah. So libraries, the skills. So again, chatbots are important. So how many of you, when you're going to the bank and say, oh my God, I can't access my bank account through my app, and then there's a chatbot that's talking, or even your telco company, there's a chatbot talking to you. Many of us since COVID, and myself included, I don't go shopping anymore. Oh, there's an app, I just click what I want to buy. Grocery shopping, who goes grocery shopping anymore? We just get everything delivered to. This is how life has become. Good or bad is up to you to say, because some people say we become lazy, some people say, oh, I need to see the apple, whether it's really nice or whether it's hard or soft or whatever the case might be. But for someone as lazy as me, just click on a few from the supermarket, it comes to my door, I'm happy as can be. Yeah? But again, use that and make it. Now, sense-making capabilities is a skill set that all future employees should be looking for. How do I use data analytics to enhance my decision making? How do I use data analytics in order to make decisions on hiring, decisions on research, decisions on doing what is necessary, even your everyday chore life itself? It doesn't do decisions on how to find a partner. Yep. Okay, so what it is going here, so that's important. So this is another example. This is a primary school in Shanghai. This is where AI and human interacts. So you have the students asking and playing with this very cute looking robot, but you also have a teacher that is teaching them what we call the softer skills. The skills about human beings that a robot can't teach you. The abstract version of theories is being done. And the Chinese government, again, what they feed with this robot is actually textbook materials that they have developed. So it's not coming from like a ChatGPT kind of thing. So that is really important itself, right? So I talked about the fact that I can sit here and then I can ask ChatGPT and it will sound exactly like me, and then you will think it's me. I can also do a projection of me in virtual reality standing here, even though I may not be in Ateneo. That is possible, right? You have seen that many a times yourself. There are a lot of things that you can use. How do we play that? But can you imagine, I wanted to do this in my company meeting last year in Phuket, and I said my bosses will freak out. Rosalia is sitting there, the mouth is not moving, but somebody is sounding like her and talking. But I also become scared. What is ChatGPT is going to sound or say? It might say something that's offensive, and then my boss will come after me. You know what I mean? So it is about how to use AR, VRs very, very crucially. So as publishers, we have done it. But as universities, you have seen examples of other universities incorporating VR, AR into the classroom setting. How do you get students, MBA students in particular, or professionals from other parts of the world to come into your class is through virtual reality, right? They don't have to fly all the way. It's safe. My course at Stanford Lit is not cheap. It is $30,000 US. But if I have to fly and stay in Stanford for 1 year, I will be poorer. So I don't have to. I sit in the comfort of my home. But of course, there is this thing of human interactions. And what Stanford does is we do have discussions with students who are based in Singapore, and then I have to meet with them once a month at least. So there is a human interaction on top of an AI interaction that we're talking about here. So deep learning, how do you make sure that the information can be found? Neural networks about learning languages itself. The more you use ChatGPT, the more you use Jasper AI with the words, the more accurate the translation become, and the language ability to use it is fantastic itself. And also bridge the gap, right? So neural networks is your Amazon again, right? The more I use Amazon to purchase my thing or Shopee to purchase my things, the more accurate predictions will come and say, oh yes, actually I need these things, I didn't realize I might need it. So that is a very clever way of personalizing information based on your usage. Yeah. Again, accurate information. So this is what we talk about. Not necessarily replace, but I think a supplement. So this robot is called Kiko. So you have Xiaodu and then you have Kiko, it's a very Japanese sounding name, but it is something that is, they are experimenting in China. Okay. Springer Nature used another kind of AI tool within their organization to be able to help the authors to publish the book in the shortest possible time itself. But the sad part is no other publisher has actually published an AI book. Because do we learn from one particular book? The answer is no. We learn from a multitude of content, whether it's a journal article, whether it's a business case, whether it is a textbook chapter. But the textbook chapters could be from various textbooks, not one textbook chapter alone. So Elsevier, so it's similar to what Sage has as well. AI assisted manuscripts itself, and then is giving its viewpoint in the same language that we have. So it's not against AI assisted technologies in manuscript writing, but you need to disclose it. And once you disclose it, the peer review process becomes even more stringent. Are you aware? Okay. So once you do that, you'll find that most of the time people do not reveal the entire facts to the publishers itself. So there's still controversy going on. So Elsevier, which is the leading publisher, is like all of us who are actually worried about what ChatGPT might do, but we do enable it as well. Frontiers. So this is the one that I talked to you about. This is the journal, Frontiers in Cell and Development Biology. Raining. Wow. That is really... So this talks about the fact that, just because you can pay for a gold open access journal doesn't mean that it should be accepted. You need to comply with every aspect of integrity whenever you're writing a research paper, right? So this was a very sad case. The authors have been banned from other publishers and they are not allowed technically to publish because they actually do ChatGPT generated research where there was no substance to what they were doing. So I was an editor-in-chief, or I was an editor in one of the widely journal on Learn Publishing itself. And then we look at experimenting the use of ChatGPT. And as you can see here, that what we found is that we work with the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health in the US, and we found that most policies are not mentioning the fact that you can use ChatGPT. So all organizations need to update. Is the university here updated on the use of ChatGPT? What do they do? What is the AI policies? I think that is something that needs to be done. NIH is the only one, but all the other hospitals are not doing. Right? So only 2 policies within the NIH actually talks about the fact that you cannot use ChatGPT as an author. Right? So there's still a debate. Can I have ChatGPT as an author? There's still a debate, and the answer at the moment is no. You can use it to generate and help you, but your name has to be stated there as well. Yeah. So Pearson, this is the latest one on textbook itself. So they previously have a student-focused generative AI tool that they developed for textbook learning, and from there you can actually see that they provide step-by-step. So earlier on, if you realize, I talk about personalized, well, this rain is, ooh. When I was young, and let me digress a bit. I was young in Brazil. I was telling my team myself, I used to eat sand. I used to eat Colgate, right? But today's kids, oh my God, can't touch this. And my grandmother used to say that today's kids, the resistance to anything is quite low. For us, we eat garbage when we were young, and it was fine. Our parents would say, "Oh, let them play." But today, kids are so fragile that we have to really be careful about them. So why am I talking about this? So in China, what happened is we found that there was a huge increase in mental health issues with people who use excessive ChatGPT or gamings or whatever that they are doing. The mental well-being becomes very, very affected in that sense, and the Gen Z in particular is very, very fragile. Now many of us, again we were talking yesterday with James from iGroup, when we were young, the teachers beat our hands with the ruler, or they ask you to stand or do whatever, we keep quiet. Today, can you do that to the kids? Of course not. The parents will come and complain, and then you will be sacked from your job itself. How things have progressed in that sense. But I do not envy the kids of today, because they have a very different set of stress. How many of you, whenever you go out on a family dinner and you are sitting across from the table and then everyone is looking at the phone and not talking to each other, when you're right in front of each other, that is mentally not healthy. Right? During COVID-19, Singapore was one of the other countries where we were shut down for almost 2 years. The number of mental health cases that we have among the youth was the highest. The older people were able to get used to the fact that we were all stranded in our home, but the younger ones couldn't, because they were so used to doing things. Now watching Netflix is great. She likes to watch Netflix, and she watches a lot of Netflix itself, but I think you need to find a balance. There is something very good about having greens, something good about having the rain. It's something good about that. Appreciate the nature, because if you want to be strong mentally, you really have to do that. Otherwise, you become very, very dependent on robots to take you, and robots will take over from you. Yeah. So they have here itself the students. So we learn. So Sage Campus is our version for the researchers. Here is each of you learn in a different manner. So they have MyLab and Mastering, and what they do is that they developed last year for the students. So if we have all of you here itself, each of you will be learning at a different pace. Right, so they have the textbook, and now what they have done is that they have come up with another one, or they're going to come up in 25 business and math and nursing and science titles in the US. They're going to experiment with professors, how professors teach, and they're going to have AI to be able to assign assignments. So now the professors assign the same assignments to everybody, or we learn at different pace. But based on the outcome from the students through the earlier AI tool, the professor is able to use another set of AI tools to recommend different assignments for different students, so that we all learn at different paces in life itself. Yeah. Okay, that is almost towards the end. So you can see here in the Philippines, you actually have what we call a strategy of your own that is coming up, and it was just recently launched. And it means that you're also talking about AI as a general means of what you do in your everyday life itself. Yeah. So thank you so much, and have a good morning. And the rain has stopped. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rosalia. There were a lot of best practices discussed, and I'm sure our participants have a lot of questions, but please hold on to them for now, because we will have our Q&A portion after the second session. So for now, we are going to have a 20-minute break. Also, please prepare your foodstuffs as you claim your light snacks at the back. Just another reminder as well, so please make sure to answer the pre and post evaluation forms that will be flashed on the screen. And yeah, our second session will resume promptly at 10:35 a.m. So please make sure to be back by then. Thank you.